Bum, 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 bum. And the music plays at this point. Bum, bum. Welcome to the Ham Radio Workbench Podcast, your bi-weekly deep dive on technical topics to the amateur radio operator. Yes, this is not George. When the boss is away, we will play. If this is your first time, thanks for joining us. We have over 265 episodes in our back catalog. Please join us on our website, www.hamradioworkbench.com. Connect with us on Facebook, Ham Radio Workbench. Are you seeing a theme here? Connect with us on Discord. Our new Never Expires Discord link is found on our website, the hamradioworkbench.com website. You can find us on the Brandmeister Talk Group 31075 and the ever-busy All-Star Node 55915. So we hope to find you there. On today's show, we are talking more about the Pebble HF with Becky Spiceland, N4BKY, Mike Spiceland, N4FFF, and Barb Asuruglu, WB2CBA. So in a past life, Becky worked in healthcare and recently transitioned to tech. She got into ham radio by chance. After hearing Morse code and learning her husband Mike knew it, she decided just to learn for the challenge. Mike strategically introduced her to other couples having fun with Morse code and POTA on YouTube, which led to her getting her license and getting on the air. Good job, Mike. She's in the deep end now with her extra license, soldering projects, and a strong POTA addiction shared with her husband. She's also sometimes called Straight Key Becky for her passion for straight keys. Welcome aboard, Becky.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. We're happy to have you here. Mike has a background in tech, but nothing to do with radio, he says. He first got into ham radio after a tornado outbreak took out both the power and the comms in the local area. While learning from YouTube, he stumbled on Morse code and outdoor radio. Hi, Mike. Welcome aboard.
It's awesome to be here.
Well, together they learned and relearned Morse code, and they got active with POTA and SOTA and tiny radios. Mike and Becky started a YouTube channel called Ham Radio Duo, that's all one word, to show other people how much fun Morse code and outdoor radio is and to get more people into the hobby. They do a great job of that, if I do say so. They also make a few web-based Morse code games and tools. They have print-on-demand QSL card service. They started designing and selling a few things on their shop, all with a common goal of getting more people into CW. Aside from ham radio, they both love RV camping, anything outdoors, and spending time with their 4 kids. That's great. We're delighted to have you guys along. And Barb received his first license in Turkey in 1983 with the call sign TA2CBA, which is comparable to the technician class license in the U.S. He enjoys DIY building and designing ham radio transceivers and relevant accessories and operating with his own designed and built radios. He's active mostly on digital modes, mainly FT8 and 4, QRP Portable, and Whisper. When he's not operating his own transceivers, Barb is also an avid RC model airplane enthusiast with more than 15 models actively being flown. Welcome aboard, Barb.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
And is that 15 models in the air at once, or?
Oh, no. Wish it was.
Okay, very good.
Once in a while.
All right, and on the show today, we also have Mark and 6MTS. Hi, Mark.
Hello. How you all doing today?
I think we all are doing good. How's things in Southern California?
Beautiful as always. Can't argue.
72 degrees, sunny.
Sunny, 72. Back to you.
Sunny at 72.
Very good. Seen LA Story? One of Steve Martin's best films ever. It is an absolute love letter to Los Angeles. I live about 3 hours north of Los Angeles, so it doesn't apply directly to me. But if you've never seen LA Story, it is so good. It is a wonderful, absolutely wonderful movie. But that was a quote from LA Story.
Awesome.
Sunny.
Might have to put a link to the Wikipedia page or something down in our show notes for those of us to watch later on. On the show today, we also have Paul, WD9GCO. Hi, Paul.
Good evening, everyone.
How's things?
Things are good. Busy,
Good.
but good. It's different here. It's 90 today with about 120% humidity. But
And
I
here
grew
is
up
home.
down.
Yeah.
I grew
here
up
is
down
home,
near
yeah,
St.
yeah.
Louis.
Yeah.
So I'm used to air that you have to swim through.
Air that you have to swim through. Ooh, that sounds so much fun. That sounds
No.
like Southern Ontario in the summer. Speaking of which,
Nope.
ladies and gentlemen, we have Rare DX, Rod, VA3, Oscar November. Hello, sir.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Great to be with you guys. Yeah, it's a sweltering Southern Ontario day at about 38 degrees metric units at the moment.
Seriously?
Wow.
So, yep.
That's a lot of them F units.
That's a lot of Celsius.
That's a lot of F.
Celsius.
That's a lot of F,
So
for sure.
it's a good day to be trapped inside. That's for sure. But thanks for having me, guys. It's good to be back. My orbit from time to time comes close enough to the planet that it's a good time to join.
So this is your one weekend without hockey? One of two
pretty
weekends
much.
this year? Yeah.
Pretty much,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So I've got my daughters in the house, I'm in the house, and we're not out in an arena, so that is good.
All right.
I think the ice would have melted.
Yeah, with 38 seat temperatures, it would be pretty tough to keep good ice going for sure.
I think
Okay.
we're under what's called a heat dome right now this week, and our heat index is about 110. We're in North Alabama.
Nice.
Oh, good.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's hot.
See,
My brother-in-law
Okay.
grew up in
Second one,
Birmingham, and when I asked him what Huntsville was like before I went to the Hamfest there, he had some very colorful things to say about the weather in northern Alabama in August. So
Yeah.
The good thing about Huntsville is that everything is inside. Unless
long
you
as you
go
get
walking like over to the Space Center and stuff where there's a lot of outdoor between you and it.
yeah, as long as you get a room in that Holiday Inn, or not the Embassy Suites that's connected to the Von Braun Center. Yeah.
And then you don't have to. Oh, right, because Huntsville's an indoor thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
and you can avoid the Alabama heat, at least
Yeah,
for
even-
that little bit.
Even the swap meet portion is indoors also.
Oh, that. I was about to
I
say
think-
that is so cool, but I didn't want to sound punny.
Yeah.
I think they realized that if they tried to hold a big Hamfest outdoors in Alabama in August, nobody would come.
No.
Yeah, the tables would melt.
All the 3D tables too, like the parts, and they, just.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my. Well, very good. Well, we'll get into a quick round of what's on your workbench, and as our special guests and ladies first, Becky, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I guess since my passion is really Morse code and introducing more people to Morse code, I spend a lot of time with our community, our YouTube community. We have a Discord channel, just helping people, answering questions, being involved, just being there. People get stuck at different stages, and hey, I've been there, I've done that, and just kind of helping out with that. Probably the rest is keeping the house organized amongst all of the projects that come out of this guy's brain, and just keeping things organized. I guess I kind of like to think of myself as the operations person, and Barb is more the, the CTO and the product manager. And I kind of help with keeping things organized. And I love building stuff, so I tend to be the prototype builder. So I really enjoy it. Barb will send me something, here, build one of these. And so there's always something on my workbench to build.
That is awesome. Well, very good.
And Becky, before ham radio, Becky didn't touch a soldering iron. And so now she's building projects all the time, and it's all because of getting into the hobby.
Yep.
Hobby of 1,000 hobbies, as I've been known to say more than once to people, right? You never know. Just follow your heart and follow your passion. Sounds like you have. That's great.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I think probably the most rewarding thing is just the interaction we have with the people and everybody that emails us or comments. And it's just such a rewarding way to experience ham radio.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, very good. Anything else on your bench you want to talk about?
Not specifically. It's summertime, so we're getting kids ready to go back to college. You know, that's another, that's always part of what's on my bench is kid stuff.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Mike, what about you? How's things? What's on your workbench?
Yeah, so super busy with some of the things that we'll talk about in a minute. But I think that lately, just because you said workbench, and it makes me think of electronics unrelated to ham radio directly, I've been experimenting with getting some old vintage audio gear and trying to bring new life into that. And then in the ham radio space, I've been working on an alternate firmware for one of the devices that we'll talk about in a little bit that allows it to become a CW practice device and also has Morse code games. And then Becky and I both have a passion for the various different Morse code games that are out there. Most of the ones I know of are web-based. I know there's lots of cool devices that do that as well, but I just love all those kind of things.
He's always designing and building something. Our 3D printer, it's a bamboo printer. We call it Bambi, and she runs 24/7. Like, I mean, right before we go to bed, it's like, okay, what's the longest thing that we have to print? Okay, hit start. You know, like it's, yeah.
And so Bambi's a deer, and we can say nothing runs like a deer?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Yeah, she's been out of commission a couple of
branding
times.
puns.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great. Thanks very much. Over to you, Barb. What's on your workbench? How are things?
Well, I was busy lately. I have a new hobby now. A friend of mine got me into it. I'm lately designing a pico balloon transmitter.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of those things anyway. You know, Hans has one, and etc. And so, but I took the challenge. I have no clue. I never did this before. So yeah, that's the latest thing.
Oh, that's exciting. I run a Pico balloon transmitter in my truck, and it's a 250 milliwatt transmitter, so it's big. And
it's big, yeah.
It is the transmitter for my APRS beacon, and it's purposely very lightweight so that I can find the fringes of our APRS Digipeater network for the club as I drive about. But yeah, those things
yeah.
Those things are tall. I mean, is it bigger than a postage stamp?
Yeah, it's mine is, I think it's 2 inch by less than an inch, and it's very, very thin wafer kind of things. And it's, I'll talk grams now,
Sure.
3 grams total in weight. So 3 grams is,
Holy.
I don't know how many ounces.
An eighth of an ounce.
Yeah, there's 28 grams in an ounce. So
Yeah. I mean, the whole balloon is like, I think the whole thing will be 11 or 12 grams, and the balloon lifts, it's a party balloon. I mean, it's nothing special. With helium, it will lift 20 grams, I guess. So there will be like 8 grams or so extra so that it can lift it.
I was going to say, aren't Pico balloons are like just like the little Mylar?
Just the party balloons,
like a party balloon. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 22-inch party balloon. That's it.
Cool.
So when you're doing that, are you insulating the board on there, or are you not?
No. You don't do anything. The theoretical thing is, if I can manage it, everyone is doing the same. It goes up to 30,000 to 40,000 feet. So you don't have too much moisture or anything like that, and nothing there, You are just fighting the cold. That's it.
Right.
So the electronics has to bear the cold. So that's it.
There was a group outside of Ottawa that in the lovely town of Perth that refers to itself as the Lanark Space Agency.
Ooh.
And they're not just doing balloons, they're also developing their own boards, or they were last time I checked with them. and they were getting some great stuff done, but they were doing, I think, a little bit heavier units that required a fair bit of insulation around the power package and that kind of thing, just to get any decent distances. How far have you got?
His workbench.
Oh, okay. So this is, I won't call it a failure to launch. I'll call it a pre-launch sequence for this. Yeah. Ah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
well, there's an excuse to have you back on when we have our maiden flight.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I just designed it. I tried it last weekend, just with a dipole antenna between two trees and what do you call the solar panel and etc. It worked actually. And the thing is like 10 milliwatts. So it's not that big. Too much. Yeah.
That's big. I mean,
and people, it's whisper. Yeah.
And people think about 10 milliwatts and your average hotspot runs 10 milliwatts. Yeah. And, my hotspot at home with a 6 dB antenna on the end of 6 dB of lossy coax still gets me 4 or 5 kilometers around town.
I mean, this dipole got me all over states with 10 milliwatts, and it's not that high. I mean, I'm in the level of the trees or so. And if the balloon goes up, everything will change. The whole area will be the coverage. So, yeah, we'll see.
Oh, that's very cool. Yes, we will have to do a follow-up on this to see how the 3-gram 2x1-inch circuit board design went. I didn't know you could get
I packed
components
them.
that light.
If I had one, I should have showed it. It's really, really small.
Yes. Becky said that you mail our stuff every once in a while to put together.
I'm not built for that. It's tiny.
You should send one of those our way for Becky to put.
Yeah, Mike has a programmer. It's almost a little bit smaller than the programmer, Mike. I don't know if you have it somewhere.
Well, very good, Barb.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's it. Eh? Okay, very good. Well, let's shift over to the workbench crew, and Mark, because you're on the left on my screen. What's on your workbench, man?
Field day. I've been doing a lot of field day stuff. This is our first recorded show after field day. So I've gotten a few after action reports from users who had contesting consoles. Most of them have been positive. One of them has some very good constructive feedback that I want to go. Actually, a few of them have some really good constructive feedback that I want to go into. One user did not work at all. Now, he was using his own radio adapter that he made based on instructions that I posted. And I'm a little bit bummed. I was hoping that he was going to work with me to try and get it working, basically. But he just wanted a refund, which is totally fine. I have no objections to that at all. If it's not any of my products, you're welcome to request a refund, and we'll figure out a way to make that happen. So that no shade thrown here at all, but I was a little bummed. I was hoping that we'd be able to work together and get his homemade radio adapter working. If for no other reason, then it would let me update the blog post of mine that he used to build his radio adapter and make sure I covered whatever it was that he ended up with that problems on. But anyway, so I got some good feedback on the contesting console, some features that I may want to add in the future, some changes I want to make to future designs, that kind of thing. But otherwise, of the people who have gotten back to me, the review has been very positive that, yes, it works well, and that it is a game changer, is the phrase that I've heard a lot of people use. So that makes me happy. For listeners or guests who may not know what I'm talking about, Contesting Console is one of my products. It is a device that lets two users connect to one radio. So you have two headsets, like a logger and an operator at a field day event. They can talk to each other. They have an intercom through their headsets, and they can both hear the radio as well. And then whichever user presses their PTT, their microphone gets sent to the radio. So it's cool. A lot like the headset system you would have in a private airplane. And it is just wonderful if you're doing, 2 user operating on a radio like you would in a casual contest, hence the name. It's also really good for Elmering, where if you've got a Elmer and a student who are working together and they want to be able to talk to each other, and the Elmer wants to demonstrate how you get on the air and make a contact and what it's like, and then the student can just press their button and their microphone gets sent to the radio and they can go back and forth, and if the student ends up with total stage fright, the Elmer can take over and finish the QSO, whatever. That and those two, and then the third one that it gets used for is like 2 for park operations, where each user has their own headset, and they'll just go back and forth and do a POTA activation with the 2 headsets. Anyway, contest and console, and I've been selling it for a couple of years, but the sales have been really slow on it. Whereas this year, something happened, some traction happened, and I sold a fair number of them within a couple of months before field day. And I got some emails from folks saying, hey, I got some questions about setting it up and whatnot. So I know a lot of people were working on getting it configured and tuned and tweaked up and ready to go for field day. And before the event, I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, this is going to be the first field day where it really gets tested, and I hope things work well, and so far the feedback has been positive.
That's
been
great to
good.
hear.
What's that?
That's great to hear. And you had one guy who said he was feeling a little under the weather, so he'd keep his feedback to you quite brief.
Yeah, and he kept it brief, and it filled the entire screen of my my email client. I'm like, okay, well, if this is brief, Josh, I'm glad you did not go into details because, anyway. So, I've been doing a lot of that. And then I can't remember whether I talked about this on the last episode, but there was a discussion on our Discord about USB testers. Somebody was looking for a USB cable tester just to test conductivity on their USB cables and to be able to see whether a cable was a data cable or power only, or whether it was USB 2, USB 3, whatever. Just something that would test the connectivity between the different sides of the cable. And I knew a friend of mine, Alvaro, who designed this little open source project that I'm holding up to the screen right now that has a bunch of USB sockets on either side, and you connect a cable, you plop a CR2032 battery in it, and it lights up LEDs whenever there's conductivity between the 2 sides of the board on a given pin. And it was an open source project, and people were like, oh, I'd be interested in one of those. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll do a run of these. And so I did a run and sold a whole bunch of them and did a second run. And then the reports started coming in that the connections were kind of flaky. Long story short, the parts that were selected are surface mount or they're through-hole parts, but they're through-hole parts designed for a 0.8 millimeter board instead of the normal 1.6 millimeter board. So a board that is half as thick as is standard. And I didn't notice this when I placed my order. So the pins on these connectors do not go all the way through the board. And when you're doing through-hole soldering, the solder comes up through the bottom of the board. And so the solder was coming up through the bottom of the board and had to go through 0.8 millimeters of board before it hit the pin that I was expecting to hit. And anyway, a lot of the connections did not connect. And so I've got a bunch of these that are flaky. Some of them work, some of them don't. And so I've spent more time than I care to admit on a workbench with these, testing them out, figuring out which ones work, which ones don't, trying to rework some of the ones that almost work, and then the ones that just have crummy connectivity I just threw in the e-waste bin. But I have redesigned the board with connectors that have pins of the right length. And I also swapped it out. The original design has all the connectors pointing out the sides of the board, which means if you want, you need to have a cable that's long enough to come out the right side, do a 180 turn, go all the way across, do another 180 turn, and plug into a connector on the left side. And so the shortest cable you can test is about a foot long. And I don't like that. So I replaced all the connectors with vertical versions. So you only have one 180 on the cable, which should allow you to test much shorter cables as well and not put as much strain on the cable as you're testing it. So things like that, and made it a little bit easier to, bigger pads on the surface mount components, so it's easier to hand solder for people who want to do that. Blah 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 blah. It's an open source project, so I submitted this up to the repo, and he's accepted it and created another branch for my design. Yada yada. I have more on order. They will be coming. So if you are a customer of mine and bought one of my USB testers and have flaky connectivity on the LEDs, reach out to me. Hit me, mark@halibut.com, or go to the webpage and use the contact us, and let me know that your board is flaky, and I will send you a new one when the new ones come in.
I promise I will try mine this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and then some other work-related stuff that I will hold up a board without explaining what it is, so the folks on the camera can see that this is a new product I am working on, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. But you can tell that it's got little bodge wires sticking off of it because I am
reworking something.
What's that?
Reworking.
No, actually, this was a debug. My I2C communication between two chips on the board was not happening, and it turns out that one of the client chip needed to have an external clock provided to it first, and so I had to go rewrite the firmware to go configure one part of it before trying to configure the other part, which is not typical for this kind of chip. It's an audio codec. For anyone who's curious. So I needed to get I2S up and running, the M clock signal on I2S up and running before you can talk to it over I2C, which is a little bit weird. So anyway, yeah, so lots of product development, that kind of stuff going on. That's what's on my workbench.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks, Mark. Paul, over to you, sir. What's going on? What's on your workbench?
I've been doing a number of things, and there's been some discussion over the past several episodes about things that Paul needs to have. And Paul finally got convinced that Paul needed to have one of these things. And then when Paul was convinced that he needed to find one of these things, there were none to be found. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, one afternoon, there was an email with one of these things to be found. And I replied immediately. I was out to lunch with my wife and my best friend. I said, "Excuse me." And I replied with the email. I said, "If it's there, I'll take it." And he came back and he said, "All right, it's yours." So I now am the proud owner of my own KX2.
Very good.
It came with some accessories. It came with an AX1. I'm still planning on later this year hopefully getting an AX4 after Thomas has a chance to test it and know that. It came with the little hand mic and stuff. So I am now planning. However, right in about the time I get the fancy new QRP radio is when the bands go. So there'll be that. So I figured I might, because, when you get a new toy, then that drives you to the YouTube rabbit hole, where you spend hours watching all the videos of people using your new toy and the different things you can do with it. So I found one, and I ordered, Vince, I believe you've done this. I ordered the necessary cables to use it with my iPad to run IFTX.
Yeah, that's right.
And I will be trying that because that is not necessarily as dependent on band conditions not sucking.
Well, if there was only a mode that radio was really very good at,
I'm getting
that
there.
was built in,
I'm getting
that
there.
involves dits and DAWs.
I'm getting there.
We can send you a link to a video.
Yeah, I might know someone could, help you out.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Solidarity.
They've been
Paul.
on me.
Solidarity.
When I was a kid, when I was a novice back in 77 or whatever, I could do 21 words a minute. It's been a long time, and it's down in my brain, and I've been slowly dragging it back out. So I have made a promise to Vince and Thomas that by the end of summer I will have done an activation in CW. So I've put myself up for ridicule if I don't do that.
Very cool.
So, and
dude, my offer stands. Happy to get on a Zoom call with you and practice.
I will probably make that happen.
All right.
And because of that, and because of the way you folks get in my brain, I have now started to rethink again how to modularize my POTA setup. And now with the 2 QRP radios, especially considering that the KX2 and the QMX are the ones that I'm planning to bring, the only ones I'm planning to bring with me to Ireland next September, in addition to an HT. I'm trying to figure out how to organize that stuff so that it fits in a nice compact thing, but everything is together. So several episodes I've showed a little Targus case that I picked up off the floor at work that was being thrown out, which originally was everything I needed to pack my QMX with a battery and a Pactena and everything. And then I thought, well, now I got this. So, and I've been discussing this back and forth with Thomas. That little case now is going to just hold all of the common accessories for the radios, not the radios. Because
that's a good approach.
Yeah, because the KX2, I got that Domke wrap that George uses, so I can wrap it up. And then I've got this old camera case that the QMX fits in nice to keep the BNC protected. So those will fit nicely in my backpack. The Targus case will hold the batteries and the microphones and all the miscellaneous bits and pieces. So that's the way I'm starting to look at it now, instead of, and because when I started POTA 3 years ago, all of the stuff, except, well, the radios was in the fake Pelican case, and then all of the rest of the stuff was in one big, like, carry-on overhead suitcase. And at some point, A, that's heavy, and B, every time you need it, you need to open that all up and dig down through it to find all your stuff, even if you don't necessarily need that stuff for that activation. So I am slowly learning by watching you guys do this, and also just my own experience and feeling out what I need to do. I've been breaking it down into smaller chunks. It's like, I'm going to go do this. I need this today. So there are some common things that stay in my trunk all the time, but then other things I bring with me when I need a particular thing. So
insert junk in the trunk comment here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. As long as there's not too much junk in the trunk, you're fine.
That's I've been losing some of the junk in the trunk. So
that's good. Awesome.
Yeah. This episode is going off the rails already.
Let's see. I haven't really done much POTA recently. I've just been really busy, and the weather has sucked, and the bands have not been good. I did do one activation 2 weeks ago, which I'm writing up a post for QRP about it, but it was challenging. I mean, it took me, and Vince, you and I were talking, it took me 2 hours sitting there to get my 11 contacts, and that was a challenge.
Despite your internationally desirable call sign of
I was activating as
WD9GCO.
K4SWL, and that wasn't helping.
Must have been rough.
So what and actually my 10th or my 9th contact turns out to be a 2-op. So I got lucky. It's like I'm about done here, and I get the last one, and it's a 2-op. It's like, thank you. Because I always go for 11 because I just in case I fat fingered something, I don't want to get caught out. So
yeah, we call that insurance.
Yeah,
yes,
insurance.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Field day was good. Our club went out. We set up the MCOM trailer that we've been building with ARDC grants. That if you stop by Xenia and you saw the Porter County Amateur Radio Club trailer there, that's what we were operating from there. And I mean, it's nice because it's air conditioned. But bands weren't great, but we got a decent amount of contacts, but it was rough. Oof. So, I mean, there were some times where it's like, I'm hearing people come in S9 and it's like, they are not hearing me. It's like, I'm here. listen to me. Yeah. So I don't know.
One-way propagation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's big. Now, I wanted to mention, because I mentioned I've been learning stuff, because, that's part of this hobby is learning stuff. And also part of this hobby is getting new toys. And then when you get the new toys, then you're driven into learning more stuff. Vince, between you and Thomas, I have learned a bunch of stuff. I want to recommend people look up, we'll put the links in here, Vince's YouTube channel and Thomas's. They're different. Thomas's are more long form, unedited, real-time activation things. He's also got some where he talks about different pieces of equipment and stuff. And Vince's are very much instructional, and talk about different things that he's got, like that last one you did on the RF adapter tackle box. So I'm going to toot your horn, even if you won't, because if you're looking for stuff to learn, you do good to check out Thomas's and Vince's channels.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
Oh, well, that's not a lot. Not at all. Yeah. Well, over to our partner with Rare DX and Rod. What's on your workbench, buddy?
Well, when you ambushed me this afternoon, I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? And then I realized I actually have some in-character stuff to talk about. And that being, aside from my German hand tool fetish, which we'll get to eventually, but in order to store some of those tools, well, I've had a reason to be back working on 12-volt systems in vehicles, both personal and professional. By the way, Vince,
yes,
you know that 5-year warranty you can get on Canadian Tire batteries?
Yes.
I cashed it in, buddy, with a month left to go on the warranty.
Wow, 59-month-old battery.
59-month-old, and it was a brand new battery, AGM battery on there too, so it was not cheap. So I was pretty happy to get that when that finally failed.
Awesome.
But aside from poking around under the hood on that, I've also got some electronics that are going into a couple of vehicles, like I said, both personal, transferring over to the Jeep, and also some work stuff. So one of the things I keep running into is when you are working on a vehicle, you either flail your tools all over the passenger seat or over the driver's seat or on the driveway or whatever. And so I ran into, I'm glad it's a video episode, I ran into this little puppy, which is, of course, a VetoProPac MB-S. So Mike Bravo-S. Well, that's no big deal because, like Rod, after all it is a pouch. It doesn't fall out. It stays quite open and nice, and there's lots of room for tools and that kind of thing. Here's what makes it a little different. It's got this super cool, it's actually hard to open, super cool flap that comes off the back and snips my fingers along the way. But both this section down here at the bottom and this section are all magnetic.
Oh, just like the fluke strap that holds a fluke meter up in place.
Right. So I think it came out of the HVAC industry, but basically you can put this up against a metal cabinet or, because they're rubberized, the side of your vehicle.
Brilliant.
So just in the pillar right behind the driver's area, it's absolutely perfect.
The B pillar,
it just snaps right on there. And as I said, the tools can hang out of it, but not fall. So I was super happy with that puppy. Saved me a lot of things. And like I said, some work things. One frustration I did come across, though, I am getting to, so relative to that magnetic thing, remember one year we were looking for what's the most inexpensive but still good fluke meter that you can get your hands on?
Right.
The 107.
You guys cost me money because I bought one then.
The 107 has treated me really well, and it's actually quite small compared to the other flukes that I've got. Yes, I've got multiple fluke meters.
Yeah.
But the 107 is really quite lovely, does a whole bunch of things. But this little stand thing that it's supposed to have at the back, I'm not fond of it, but it comes together magnetically, and more importantly, it's one big magnet that can also hang off the side of the car.
Right.
It just straps across there. So everything I've got is turning magnetic. But apropos to the conversation this afternoon that is making me crazy, and I'm calling out for ideas, send them all to Vince, for how do I deal with this nonsense? And part of the problem, when you've got a relatively small toolkit and you're trying, and you've got wire cutters and all sorts of other sharp things in it, is managing to keep these from being destroyed along the way. Now, step one, upgrade your probes, because these vinyl ones are awful.
Yes.
But they're the ones that come with it, so there you go. But I found that there's a lot nicer kind of, I don't know if it's rubber or some sort of synthetic material that folds a lot nicer, but it's still got a problem because it's going to be sitting in there amongst these sharp wire cutters on here. So what I'm looking for is a good solution to be able to zip these up into some kind of container. The closest I've come is a small, narrow pencil case. It's hardly even should be called a pencil case. It probably holds about 6 or 7 pencils in it, but a neoprene thing that I think will work. It's a little long for what I need, but if anybody's got a great idea, short of rubber bands, which is just fine too.
Rod, you can use the lens pouches. They are selling those lens pouches for the camera lenses. You put into a pouch.
Okay.
I'm using those. They are very cheap.
Yeah, there's an idea.
And you just put it.
Rubber bands right on.
Yeah.
So we use this for every piece of wire. It's a silicone cable tie.
Yeah.
And we actually even use it to attach antenna tops to masts. And it'll stretch out a lot, and it can go right on the wire goes kind of through here, and then you hook it on to hold it in place, and then it'll wrap around 2 times or whatever you need.
And I've got a bag of those.
They're great. We have them on everything now, like everything around the house, not just radio stuff.
Okay. So
if we could get a link to those in the show notes from somebody who knows what they're called, please.
Yep.
You beat me to it, Vince, because I was about to say, Becky, the next thing I'm going to read Vince's mind and say that he's going to want you to put it in the show notes.
Will do.
I got mine from Amazon, so they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could send you an affiliate link.
We'll send you an affiliate link. Yeah.
Right on. I'm not sure we ever got that working, but okay.
Vince, I forgot one thing.
Oh.
And this is thanks to you, because when you get a new toy, you always have to accessorize.
Of course.
So one of the first things I did was I ordered the G7UFO USB-C charger.
Yes. Yeah.
For the KX2. So that is on the way from England. Provided Thomas stops doing activations with him so he can go ship my thing.
Well, I thought Neil hand delivered it to Thomas and wrote in gold lettering on the envelope, "This is to be hand delivered to Paul."
Oh, there we go.
Sounds reasonable.
So I got that. Which, if you go back, George explained, it replaces the one end plate on a KX2, and it replaces, if you have the internal charging board, it replaces it with the one with a USB-C port that's bidirectional, that lets you charge the internal battery, and then if you need to top something off, you can use the internal battery to top off a device. So,
Paul, I don't think I've ever accused you of costing me money.
But this is Vince's fault.
Okay, I'll blame it on Vince.
Okay.
Challenge accepted.
I broad shoulders. Go ahead. Rod, anything else?
No. What's on your what's on your bench, Vince? See, I'm a little rusty. What's on your Vince bench?
Well, Rod, let me tell you, lately it has been the world of Morse Tutor kits, Microlight traps, and VK3IL paddles. So you all know that I've been selling VK3IL paddles and Morse Tutor kits for a while, and I'll put a link in the show notes to where that is online. I've just recently added Microlight QRP traps from Tim and 7KOM. These will allow you to build an end-fed half wave for 20, 30, and 40 meters in a single strand. And this will give you 3 most common CW bands used for SOTA and POTA. Now that antenna is, I want to say 46 feet overall. And you hand wind the little toroids. Tim has great instructions on how to do this. Tim designed the boards, and Tim can't ship outside of the U.S. So to be clear, on my store, I am fulfilling all of the non-USA orders. If you want them and you're in the USA, you can go to my website and I'll redirect you to Tim's. And that way you can find them in the USA. But we've got those, and those have been starting to go out the door. They're a new item for us. My zBitx V2. So I got it just before Hamvention, and I've had it out on the bench, and then I've had a bunch of other things going on, so I've been neglecting it. And just yesterday I got a note from Ben, KN4RFT. I hope I got that call sign right. And Ben is a great 3D designer, and I've talked about his stuff before. I've got the Stream Deck and Flex Control knob holder on my desk that he designed, and a couple of other pieces he designed. And I'll endeavor to find his link on Maker World, which is where he posts his stuff. But in the absence of HF Signals releasing the print files for the zBitx V2 case, as they did for the zBitx V1, Ben designed and posted his own set of plastics. So as we're recording this, my printer has been humming away and producing us a custom set of plastics for mine, because I broke one piece. The edges were kind of weak where the screws were held in place. So I reprinted a full set, and I've customized it with my call sign on the front, because that's how I roll. So that's going on. Now, we were talking a number of episodes ago about boomerang radios. Those radios that seem to find their way back into your life after you have disposed of them or sold them off or whatever. Well, the FT5D, yes, well, George, and it's funny enough, that's who I bought it from. George was selling his FT5D to thin his herd, and I felt the urge. And so now I have 2 APRS handhelds in my fleet, and this time I won't release the FT5D from my hands. It's a great radio. It has really good front panel audio. The touchscreen is reasonably easy to use. And now I can do some APRS experimentation between my 2 radios and try to understand some of the differences, which is good. So yeah, I've welcomed a boomerang radio back into my shack. One of the first radios I had was a Holocrafters CB3A. Yes, that's an 11-meter radio, or as us fans of it know, the Holoclunker, because every time you hit the transmit button, humongous relays would shake the floor of the room you're in as it switched into transmit and back to receive. But that radio,
Helicrafters made a CB.
How about that? The CB3A, they called it. And so anyway, that radio won't make its way back into my life. Although if a really pretty Tutor, TWOER, happened to appear, that kind of holds a place in my heart, a 2-meter AM rig. But Paul's got his hand up. This might get dangerous.
I have one. I don't know if it works. I picked it up. I've had it for years.
Yeah. I didn't know if the one I had in my hands for a brief period of time worked, but I sold it off to a friend of mine who subsequently passed away, and I would have loved to have gotten it back from the estate, but I found out too late. It's such a pretty radio, though. Anyway, boomerang radios. And then lastly, what's taking a lot of my time and consuming me right now just about is my plans to get out in backcountry to reach out into POTAs that have either never been done or that I have not done. And I want to do them with my e-mountain bike, getting out 5-10 miles off the nearest parking lot, which is frequently 10 miles off the nearest highway, to go in, tackle these activations and make it back out in one piece. I quite enjoy doing these, and I typically do them solo. So a lot of planning, a lot of personal safety planning goes along with what radio gear I'll bring, how much water I'll pack, my 10 safety essentials, and all the rest that goes with kind of typical backcountry stuff. But I've got some epic style activations planned, at least 2 of them. One of them I can do almost right away if my quads were in shape, if I'd had enough time to train this year, but the weather has not been conducive to cycling every day. Unfortunately, it's been the wettest spring out here in this part of the world that we have ever seen in many ways. And one of them I won't be able to tackle till August because there's still snow at the top, and I don't have snow tires, but so and I don't feel like strapping on what do you call them, snowshoes, to like cycle up as far as I can, stop my bike, and then strap on snowshoes and keep going. That's not my style. My shape is round. It doesn't do that kind of stuff. So I'll wait until August when the snow is gone, and I'll cross over the provincial border into the next province over when I go do this activation. And then there happens to be a soda summit about 1 mile from the top of that ski run in this case. So I'm super excited about that. And there's been an awful lot of hours spent studying maps, studying topos, and getting ready to do that. So, whew, man, that's what's on mine. I'll talk about my field day exploits later on in the show when we do a bit of a field day roundup. But boy, that's all I've got. So listen, we're going to take a short pause for the cause, as we used to say in the music industry, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Well, I'm super excited to have Becky, Mike, and Barb here to talk about the Pebble HF. This radio is a fascinating project and product, and its entry point is low, and it's simple for beginners to use. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Becky, tell us about the Pebble HF.
Well, I think it started all really in Mike's head when he first said, hey, I'm going to get into ham radio, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. And he'll set, the Pixie was like, hey, this is my entry level into ham radio. And, he never was able to make a contact on it, but it was cheap enough to get him interested without spending a lot of money. So I think the dream in his head for years has been something ultra affordable, but it works and it's easy to build. And that's really kind of where it came from.
And I'll just add to that most of us know that you can go to Amazon and get a HT or a handheld for under $50. And so part of the idea was, why is something like that not available for HF? And I don't know if this would be a good segue to Barb, but we had met Barb through another one of his radios that he had designed. And I was asking him, can you make this like a really inexpensive CDW version of this radio? And I had no idea about his background because of my own ignorance. And I was asking him, he's like, no, that would be a lot of work without enough reward to modify that radio. And then he said, well, what about this one? And I was like, well, who designed that? He's like, well, I did. And so the Pebble HF started as a fork of that radio that he had designed before, purpose built for this purpose of being able to be very inexpensive, under $50, and easy enough to build as a kit that even if it's your very first soldering project, that you're likely to be successful with it.
Well, that's awesome. So what was this other radio, Barb?
That was a radio called Micro STX Mono, actually. Can I share a kind of a history of this thing?
Yes, tell us about it. We love to know where this comes from.
Let me try. So, share, So the whole thing is Micro STX. So the Micro STX started with this guy. This is the QCX of Hans QRP Labs, the first QCX. And Dutch Ham, PE1NNZ, created an SSB hack of this radio. So what he did was throw most of the parts, as you can see, nothing here, and then throw a couple of wires and use the Atmega chip on it to build a full-fledged radio.
Okay. And for anybody who's listening, we're looking at a prototype of it that's got three ICs on it and 4 toroids.
That's it.
Mostly bare board.
Bare board, yeah. And from this, everything started, and I tried this and it worked and etc. And I'm going to go, this is the case version of that. And you can see at that time it's called QCX SDR, not Micro SDR. So this is the whole thing. So everything is in software and firmware stage, there isn't much, as you can see outside. All the filters, all the SSB, polar modulation, producing, and this, that, etc. is all in this chip, Atmega. And Atmega is a very, very low-end chip. It's incredible. I mean, Mike appreciates more, I guess. This.
I was going to call BS on you that you could not fit all of this on a 328.
I know.
How do you fit all of this on a 328?
Very carefully.
Very carefully and hard work.
Dang.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that, like, for anybody who's listening, what Barb's showing on the screen right now is a block diagram, and it shows, I don't know, looks like at least three dozen blocks that are all what the functionality that's being done in the radio, all in software on that microcontroller. And Barb mentioned that Guido, PE1NNZ, he's the one who created that initial software, the firmware that works with the board that Barb designed.
So let me clarify. The Atmega 328 is a microcontroller, but it is an 8-bit microcontroller. This is the AVR architecture.
Yes.
This is the same chip that was used in the original Arduino. It's an 8-bit microcontroller. The 328 is actually more accurately read 32-8 because it has 32 kilobytes of flash and 8 kilobytes of RAM. Am I getting that correct?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. And so this is a tiny microcontroller. Like, at its fastest, it will run at 20 megahertz. Normally, they run at 16 megahertz.
Yes. So, 20 megahertz, actually overclocking it.
Yeah, exactly. So normally they run at 16 megahertz.
Yeah.
But I think that unless it's the automotive version, I think it's still spec'd at 20 megahertz.
Mm.
Well, let's put this in perspective. I mean, there could be many arguments had about this, but the world of the personal computer, the 8088, the 6502, these were all 4 and 5 megahertz microprocessors too.
8-bit CPUs. Well,
and they did a lot too. This is not my world, but so far this is credible.
They never did. Okay, to be clear, I'm not calling anyone a liar. No. I am expressing extreme appreciation for the mad coding skills. This is like 1980s demo scene levels of performance squeaking out of impossible hardware. This is amazing. I am super impressed.
A friend of mine called that, when you consider ARM and other microprocessors used in the other radios like KX2, this, that, etc. This is like building a radio with 4004, the first Intel. So it's the whole thing comes from QCX, because QCX used this chip. So
what
Guido,
it used it as a controller. It wasn't processing.
Yes, exactly. And he devised this on that. That's why it's stuck on
props,
this.
Guido. My goodness.
I know. So this is the basic micro STX circuitry. I mean, this is bare bones.
Yeah.
And you can see how simple it is to make a full mode SDR. It has AM, FM, CW, SSB, only handful of chips. It's like 4 chips. That's it. A display, an encoder, and a couple of push buttons.
And so what's on screen is a schematic showing an FST 3253, an LM4562,
exactly,
an SI 5351, an LCD driver, a 7805 regulator, about a 24 parts, and 3 BS170s, and the Atmega 328P. That's it.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And it's a full SDR. And it uses the famous TLUA detector, QST.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
describing that circuit, the FST 3253, that's a whole nother ball of amazing on how that stuff works.
Yes.
So that is some serious RF deep mojo. So we'll hold off on that for now. But the way that thing works.
I shouldn't ask what that chip does.
In your KX2, they have that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that chip do? Why is that amazing? Help me understand.
Okay, are we diving down this rabbit hole?
Not too deep.
Yeah, let's do briefly, I guess. So this is invented by Dan Taylor in Motorola, and this kind of chops the signal and creates the I and Q. The bare bones of signals, the phase difference signal. So it's a demodulator, definitely, but using as quadrature sampling demodulator type of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you enter that to ADC1 and ADC0 and 1, and you do a Hilbert transform, and you get the SSB, pure SSB. And audio out, decoding.
Math in the software, yeah.
Wow.
So what happened was, I built the QCX, and then he did the firmware for the QCX and all the modes, and I ended up with handful of parts that I didn't use it, and it bothered me. So I said, I have to do a dedicated PCB for that. This was the first PCB for micro STX. This is it. So it is like QCX, but it is called micro STX now. So it's a dedicated SSB SDR transceiver.
So wait, stop. Micro STX. So now some light bulbs are coming on in my head. So is this a radio that we see 14 variations of out in the marketplace?
Eventually, yeah, exactly. You will see. You are seeing that.
Okay. Wow.
So this is the bare bone history. I'm telling you now.
Dots are being connected.
Thank you. Yep. A whole pile of dots are connecting.
Yeah, that's why when Mike reached out, he was like, it's kind of like that. Wait, who designed that?
And then Barb was like, I did. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought Barb was telling me to reach out to somebody else.
No, it turns out Barb knows the guy. Sorry, Barb.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm keeping it short on this, but this is we cannot talk about Pebble without talking this history, because
of course
it's built on it,
Of course.
It won't make justice. That's why I said, let's do this.
Please.
So, as I said, this is very similar to QCX, as you can see the format and everything. So I designed this, and this was kind of a hit, which surprised me also. I mean, many people build this because it's easy to build. There isn't too much into it, you know. So this is I designed this top plate and etc. So this is the, finalized format of the radio. So after that, I designed this radio, which is a very, very shrink down version of the previous one in a SMD format. And we called it the Micro SDX Mono. So what Mike was talking about is this radio. So this has a lot of pedigree with Pebble HF.
Okay.
So it's a mono band. It uses the same LCD scheme, that. So from that, we will go to Pebble, right? So this is the schematic of Pebble. So what's different than Micro STX? Let's talk about that here. So this section is almost the same. Nothing has changed here.
So what section is that?
This is the microcontroller section.
Okay.
So if I can make it. This is the Atmega chip.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the LCD. We have the key mic jacks and the headphone jack. The only thing we added is internal microphone. So that's, you don't need an external microphone. If you want, you can use this one.
Right.
We added also a keyer, which acts like a PTT also. So it has a double functionality. Other than that, everything is basically Micro SDX. Apart from the firmware, Mike will talk about that, I guess, because Mike changed a lot of stuff in that. So the powering can be by 12 volts. Actually, rather than 12 volts, now 14 volts, 14.4 volts actually. So this is creating that, this is the regulator for that. And also you can power with USB-C. So it has double scheme in Pebble. So you can use USB-C, you get 1 watt, you can use basically your phone, or you can use your external 12 volts or whatever. So you get almost 5 watts out of the output.
And since Barb touched on several of those features, since the purpose of this radio is for people that are new to HF radio, so the thought is that they may not already have a special 12-volt battery that would be convenient for them to use. So then they can just plug in by USB, and they're only going to get 1 watt output, not 5, but they'll be able to use the radio. And then if they don't already have a microphone or a key, Barb also had highlighted the fact it's got an internal microphone and key. So technically you could just power it from your phone, plug in an antenna, and that's all you would need.
So I hate to do this to you, but feature request. Next time on that USB-C socket you've got there, put a USB trigger chip on there that will, if it's available, get 12 volts out of your USB-C power delivery, power supply, or battery, and be able to operate 5 volts on it.
Mark, we will talk about that in the futures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have a list of those requests already.
Yeah, exactly.
Unsurprised.
I like how
We're all about feature creep here on Ham Radio.
Oh, yeah.
So, and this is the RF section of the radio. So in the RF section, I made some changes in Micro SDX. We were using a regular crystal oscillator. So I changed the crystal to thermally controlled crystal oscillator. So it's way more stable. You don't have to adjust anything or so. The VFO is actually a PLL. It's called SI5351, which is very popular among all radios. The other changes I made was, this is the driver's buffer stage. Everything comes like digital square wave, and then we produce, by adding amplitude, the SSB version of the transmit. This was a weak buffer. I changed it to 8 parallel buffers. So it's much, much stronger now. So it's easier to drive to get 5-6 watts out of it. The other thing was the Tailloe detector, which is the QST. We were using only one of them in Micro STX. I paralleled those. So the internal resistance is lower now. So it's much, much sensitive than the other one.
But that's on the receiver.
Yeah, on the receiver side.
Oh,
yeah,
was the internal impedance of the switch significant to the receive?
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, because then it becomes more sensitive. Amazing.
Yeah.
Actually,
wow. Okay.
Where I stole that from QRP Labs, QMX.
Oh, he does that on the QMX too?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. We won't tell him if you don't.
I heard nothing.
Yeah. No, Hans knows that I stole a lot of stuff from him.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's basically the rest is the same. It's using a Class E power amplifier, so it's very, very efficient, So we are not producing any heat as an excess. So we use BS170s, which is very common, MOSFET and cheap. This is same as QMX and QMX Plus. They use the same MOSFET.
Okay, you haven't said the magic words, but you did say something about adding phase and amplitude separately. This is polar modulation, yes?
Yes, but this is using gate modulation. Hans is using drain modulation. I'm in QMX.
Okay.
So that's the difference between them. So, but the technique is the same.
All right, so I'm looking on the screen, and we've got a clock signal coming out of the 5351 that goes into all your buffers.
Into that, and here you have a integrator filter, and this creates from the PWM that's coming from the processor, your amplitude, varying amplitude. So you mix them both, then you can have the continuous.
So
varying.
The signal that's coming from the SI 5351 through the buffers is generating the phase?
The phase, yes.
Okay, so you're adjusting the frequency of the 5351 in real time to shift that phase back and forth.
And the other one is adding the amplitude on it, because with only phase you cannot generate the SSB signal.
Yeah.
You have to vary the amplitude.
Where's that amplitude signal coming from? Is that coming directly from the micro?
Micro, yeah. Okay. Directly from the micro. And this is the integrator for that.
Okay. Oh.
So this is the schematic part. Let's pass. This is the board of Pebble HF. As you can see, everything is almost 90% of the board is SMD populated.
And I think the fun story about this is I would hear them having conversations about it, and Mike is saying, but can we put that on? Can we make that a surface mount? Can we make less parts to have to build? Can we, it was just constantly back and forth. And Barb would say, oh, wait, I can get rid of that toroid. Oh, wait, I can get rid of this. And it was just kind of it was neat to see them
back
work
and forth
to create something that was a lot of it already done and really just have to put on the easy stuff.
Yeah, because I
was going to say Toroid Winder Hater Anonymous Association.
I
know. We all thank you for that. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
So that's why we have. Yeah, you go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
I was just going to say the starting point was, we know that we want this to be as inexpensive as possible. And it would be awesome if it was 100% surface mount, because then we could order the boards pre-populated with all the parts, and it would be the lowest cost that it could be. Once you give up on that, just because there are some parts that's impossible for, then it was a matter of what is the absolute minimum that of through-hole parts that we could have, and every single bit of it is a bit of a compromise. So there's just a constant, to hit the goal of being able to be inexpensive plus easy to build with minimal parts. There's just things that you have to give up, and so it's just needing to stay on the track of making sure that it can still do what it's supposed to do and be usable, even though with a couple more parts and more toroids, it could be better, but there already are better radios that exist. And the Pebble's filling a niche right there at making it more HF radio more accessible.
Before I get to the shut up and take my money part of this discussion, I would like to point out that JLC PCB does do through-hole assembly for not much money. Encoders and tall push buttons, the 6x6 millimeter push buttons, are in their inventory. I'm just looking at this board. Your inductor needs to be scooted to the right. I noticed you missed that on the component placement. And LX1, yeah, the one thing that I haven't been able to get JLC PCB to do is wind toroids. So the T37-2 and the T37, yeah, both of the
No, this has to be done by the user.
Those are going to have to be done by the users. I appreciate your use of a dual footprint for the SMA or BNC on the output. I like that.
Good eye.
Yeah. Oh, and the 2.5 millimeter barrel plugs, they can also do those. So if you are wanting to make it more assembled, automated, those are things that can absolutely be done.
Yeah.
Well, we can get a quote if you want, Mike.
I mean, I do electrical engineering and RF design all the time. So if you want me to work on any of this stuff, you let me know. I'm, like I said, shut up and take my money.
I think, when you go from, like, I've built, my first big radio build was a QCX, and to me, it was fun. It was just a project of, can I even do this? And, the icing on the cake was it actually did power up and work when I plugged it in. And
no
this
smoke.
one is, no smoke. Exactly. I made a contact that day. I was so excited. But to me, this is really the entry level. It's, you're not really worried about surface mount parts. You're not, you have two toroids, the spacing and the size, it's only one board. I remember that QCX having to try to sandwich stuff in together and make it fit just right. And you have to do like these extensions on some of the pins because they didn't fit right. Like, it was hard. And it's a great radio, but it's harder to build. And so it was kind of like, where's that middle ground of, it's okay if I put on 10 parts versus 50,
And I think that Becky built it the very first time in about 45 minutes. She can build them faster now. And our N6 ARA has a great video where he brought it up on top of a soda summit and brought a soldering iron with him. And he built the radio and then activated the summit.
That was incredible.
I think his time was he timed it like 32 minutes or something on the build. And then he activated right afterwards.
Very cool.
A snowstorm?
No, maybe not a snowstorm.
California, no.
What the hell, man?
Well, I mean, but this is Zara who took a payphone on top of a summit once and made contact with it.
Yeah, we were not surprised when we saw that video come out of like, okay, he would do something like that.
I might have been laughing so hard I was crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to make it easy to build, for the beginner, or it doesn't even have, just someone that's like, what, I want to try to build a radio.
Yeah.
But I don't really have the time or, to do too much or too complicated to just try.
For me, about 10 or 15 years ago, I've been a ham since the mid-90s, early 90s. So I've been a ham for a very long time. But it was about 15 years ago that I'm like, I want to build something ham radio related. I've been into electronics my entire life, but I was looking for a kit radio that I could assemble. And the first thing I found was the Pixie, and like you, I bought a few of them. I'm like, hey, $5, I can do that, and I get it assembled. I'm like, this thing is terrible, but that was fun.
Right.
And then I upgraded to like the 49ers and some other things, but there weren't kits like the QCX or anything else that were out at the time. This was before all of that happened. So believe me, I know what you're talking about on the, like, I just want something that I can put some effort into the assembly of, be able to say, I built this.
Right.
And get on the air and use it. That is such a wonderful feeling. And that when you've got someone new into the hobby and you want to get them excited about something, that is one of the things that if you can convince them to sit down, learn how to, just do some very basic through-hole soldering, and then get them something that's functional when they're done, especially if it only takes like an hour or two, right? Like this. That is just, I think that is a wonderful product. And like I said, shut up and take my money.
I think one of my favorite stories already that we got a email from someone and said that he just finished, his 13-year-old grandson just finished building it. They built it together, and it was his grandson's first project of something like that. And now his grandson is studying for his technician and then his general, because he wants to be able to get it on the air because he built it. Like that right there is purpose of the radio.
So
yeah, I mean,
okay.
When Mike and Becky reached out to me, that was the whole idea. I mean, that's kind of pushed me to do this, to be able to bring something for the young hams, to lure them in.
Well, and this is, and Becky, you've just said something really interesting, that the youth really wanted to build it and get it on the air themselves. So that speaks to, don't get JLC PCB to assemble any more of it. If an experienced guy like Ara can put it together in what'd you say, 32 minutes on top of a summit, that's an hour to an hour and a half maybe for a newbie, maybe 2 hours because there's a couple of toroids to be wound. That's
only two. Only two.
Yeah, only two. That's what I said, a couple of two.
Before, actually, this was a toroid also, but going back and forth with Mike, and he pushing me in a good way to get rid of stuff. So I changed it into a power coil. That's it. So these are used in switching supplies, but that's the whole idea. It's just to block the RF from the 12-volt line, so it worked.
Oh yeah, if all you need is a choke, that'll do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we use this. So one less, but we couldn't do anything. These guys.
Let me jump in here because there's a bit of a history lesson here that I think could be interesting. I've raised it on the show before. The NorCal 40.
NorCal 40.
Before there was an Elecraft, there was yes. A lot of us know that story. But one of the really cool things that came out of that was there was an electronics professor. Mark, I'm thinking he was at your alma mater, but I'm not sure. Who wrote an entire textbook, and for his students, they had to build a NorCal 40. And each chapter was components. And when I look at this board, I go, I can understand that. I can understand what things are doing on that board. And I think that would be really, really interesting. You don't have to solder every component to get value, but the big components you want to understand. And to be able to go through that with a matching textbook, if you will, would be really, really interesting again. I think that would recapture some of that learning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, Barb?
Oh, it makes a lot. And the other thing is, the circuit I showed you, the first micro STX that I designed, is actually not different than this in the layout also, but it was all through hole. If you want to build that through hole, that's a lot of effort because there are a lot of parts to solder. So with talking to Becky and Mike, we try to keep the soldering balance as minimal as possible, but still they can enjoy it. It's not a big deal to solder this part or, the encoder or two switches or the, key that we are using a micro switch for that. And they are not critical parts, but still gives the soldering experience, The only thing is these two toroids that has to be wound, but
toroids,
without winding toroids, how it will be a radio, you know? So at least that's it.
Yeah, and in the instructions, we put them in there first so that we could say, all right, now the hard part is over with.
Done the hard part. Now we get to move on, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of people build it, and as they're thinking out loud, and they're like, seriously, starting with the toroids?
Well, maybe that's a good first chapter is why. You know, like, why do you need these darn toroids?
Yeah.
And, you know, while you're, maybe you could make that an audio chapter. So while you're winding the darn things, you got something to listen to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was it. Oh, yeah, let's talk about. So what happened was when we built the first prototypes, I took one of the prototypes to a friend of mine is an RF engineer and does a lot of designing for Motorola, this, that. So I took him, they are repairing stuff. And so he said, you know what, we have a professional gear. I think it was VE6LK ComExpert. It's one of the, you know, expensive communication analyzers, and we tested on that one. So this is the second and third harmonic result on that. So you can see here, the second harmonic came, I think, minus 45 dB, which is by FCC rules, okay.
Made it by that much.
I know. But to be honest, Mark, with 2 toroids on an LPF, you know.
Yep.
What do you want?
I'm with you.
Yeah. And 1 second notch filter stuff. But we made it. So the third harmonic was much better. I think it's around 50. So this is the second and third harmonic. And then this is the transmit graph and etc. I don't know that much of this because this is much advanced than what I'm using. So that rig was 3.89 watts that I took, and the oscillator deviation was 6.5 hertz, which is nothing, I guess, with the thermal compensated crystal oscillator.
So just looking at this screen, the graph over on the right is showing your, it's a spectrum analyzer graph.
Yes.
And it's starting to show the noise around your carrier, not the harmonic noise, but the splatter.
Yeah.
And it's going from positive 36-ish dB, and you have a spike at minus 40 dB, but the floor seems to be around minus 50. So your splatter is around minus 90 dB. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
it works.
It'll be fine.
Well, Barb, that's quite the history.
Yeah, and this is the last one, yeah. This is the receive part of it. And we measured, I guess, 23 microvolts. This is the history part. I can stop the sharing now.
Hang on, I'm looking.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
So 2296, what the SINAD at 22.96 microvolts is 12 dB? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm reading. Okay.
Yeah.
22 microvolts. That's, I'm trying to remember how that compares to other radios, but okay.
Yeah, cool. For anybody who's listening, we're still looking at a screenshot of the analyzer's output.
Yeah.
Well, better than Pixie, I guess.
Yep, much better than Pixie. Well, how many? Is it time for the shut up and take my money yet?
Let me stop the share.
Writing on the coattails of Barb's comment about better than the Pixie. I like to lead with if you already have your eye on a QMX or any of the other great radios, then definitely go get one of those. While I was testing this, before we got the first prototypes in, and I didn't have any idea what to expect, I was very pleasantly surprised as I was testing all the different modes, and it just was working phenomenally. And then I kind of got lost about the fact that the original goal was to be a functional Pixie. And then I would have some kind of nitpick to Barb about something, and he'd have to remind me, Mike,
It's a cheap
it's a
radio.
cheap radio. And so, like, it's a cheap and very fun radio, but just it is accidentally so functional that it's easy to lose sight of how minimal it is and how inexpensive it is, and in a good way.
Have you talked about the price yet? Do we know what the price is?
It's $49.73.
Oh my gosh. Where do I put the $50 bill? I don't see a slot for me to insert the bill into.
Yeah. The real reason that we can do this is because, I mean, we have some other products, so we kind of, he's doing the ordering and we're going to do it in a batch. Like that's the reason we can get the price to where it is. We're not trying to make money off of this. We're trying to get enough so that we can distribute them at $50 a piece to more people.
And it's 100% open source. So anybody could go and order the boards, order the parts, and build one. If you did that with just one board and one set of parts, most of these parts don't come in quantity one anyways, it wouldn't be very convenient. So the primary reason we're selling them is because of the fact that we know that people are people and they need to be able to just like, hey, I need to get one of these. How do I get one? And telling them, okay, you need to get 10 to 20 friends together at minimum and order a batch board, order some parts. They come from different sources and things like that.
This definitely falls into the I want the thing, I don't want to build the thing category.
Well, maybe
you want the thing, you don't want to have to buy the minimum quantity on the thing.
You don't want to have to source all the parts to get the thing. Yes.
Yeah. And in that realm, so far, all the things that you would think, well, I should knock on wood, but all the things that could happen seem like they've already happened or could happen. Everything from, we finally decided to order a giant pile of parts, like a pretty big order, and it's not arriving when it's supposed to. Oh, it's lost. Well, good thing we ordered that backup batch. Oh wait, it's lost too.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
Or ordering parts around Chinese Lunar New Year or whatever it is and waiting 2.5 months for them to come in instead of 3 weeks. That's never happened. I appreciate all of that.
This is my experience with a NorCal 40, trying to get somebody knocked off a few boards years ago, right? Like about 10 years ago. And I think a couple of those boards are still lying around here somewhere. And then finding the parts for it, the original parts, was really painful. And it became this gigantic scavenger hunt for a couple of us to try to find the bits and pieces so we could build an original NorCal. And then I obviously gave up. So I have a box somewhere with a couple of boards and partial parts inventory for it. I love this idea, and I love the fact that you're doing it in batches like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the case, like he designed the 3D case that comes with it. So like that's included with it. The case comes with it.
And so for people who are listening, it's a 3D printed enclosure, and it's got 2 colors with all the ports and all that kind of stuff labeled on it. And
in the STL files, it's all, we've had people do different colors and put their call sign on it, things like that. Like we're loving it.
Yeah, Vince could put his call sign on there.
You can put your call sign on it. Yeah,
Vince would be all over that. You were supposed
to wait there. You were supposed to wait for one of us to say, "But wait, there's more. There's a case."
Yeah.
I noticed that you've got the text embedded in the print. Do you have an AMS or do you have an H2D?
We have an AMS.
AMS, okay.
So we have an AMS, but through we learned when we released our antenna design that poor little Bambi couldn't keep up. So we do have somebody that we had met who is very close to local, who's now a friend, who has a 3D print farm, and so he understands the spirit of it. He's not a ham himself, at least not yet.
Working on it.
Yeah. So he understands the spirit of it, and so he's doing us a big favor with being able to print these at a cost to be able to pass along.
Yep.
This is a whole lot of fun for you guys. You said you're not doing this to turn a buck, which is great, and for which we thank you. And I mean that very sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I mean, everybody knows I just want to help people get into the hobby too, so we share that in common. How do you measure how successful it is when you're still on batch one? You've got a lot of interest in it.
The wait list, yeah.
So we can explain how that works a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
So when we first announced it, we said, okay, if you would like to know when it's available, please sign up for the list to be able to be notified when it's available. And then as soon as everything arrived, we announced that we were going to be emailing people who signed up in the order that they signed up to let them know that it was available. And the end goal at some point is for sure to make this available so that if somebody wants to buy it, they can go and buy it and they don't have to wait, and then they can get one shipped out within a couple of days. The wait list is long enough that even though that's one of the things that we didn't want to necessarily happen, it's going to take us a while to get through that wait list. And so if you go to pebblehf.com, you can sign up to be notified when it's your turn.
So it's a link to the shop that's not, if you just go to our shop, it's not there. So you get emailed a link to be able to purchase it. And then if you get that email, we are going to ship it. That means we've got them, we've kitted them, they're in boxes, and we'll ship it within a couple days from that email. So we're not upfront saying, hey, everybody come buy one, and then we'll do it. We're kind of pre-stocking a batch, telling people they can go order it and sending them right out.
Yeah. And a couple of things. One of them is we're not doing this for profit. There is a little bit of profit margin in there to cover things like, when the parts die, and we also in trying to figure out ways to be able to scale things up. Parts get lost is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
All those kind of things. Also, we would like to make it so that it's available not just in the U.S. but in other parts of the world as well. The challenge is the shipping, because the goal is the radios to be so inexpensive. The shipping can be so high that it kind of ruins the overall goal.
Go check out Pirate Ship, a simple export.
Okay, I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah,
so
it's about $15 for most of the world.
Okay, awesome. If we can get the shipping and the logistics are under control, then we could ship them from where we're at. We did have somebody who was in Germany that we started to talk to about possibly selling through his business, and that particular one may not work out, but it is 100% open source, and we do have some people on our Discord that have started ordering boards, and so definitely the easiest way is to just be able to buy one and not have to do the group buy thing. But a group buy is possible, so if there's anybody who is in another country and they want to get one before we get all of our ducks in a row, then there are people that are already using the open source nature of it to be able to do that.
Cool.
Well, I was going to ask you whether there was a non-commercial tag on your open source license.
So no, we're leaning on the original license, and so it's and Barb didn't tell the USDX or micro SDX. There's also a true SDX, and it was forked, and that version has a different license.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
So you've designed this to get people interested, to get newbies interested into the hobby. Boy, the question that keeps coming to my mind is, what's next that you can talk about? Is there a multi-band version? Is there a version with an antenna tuner built in? Is there one with a battery built in? Is there one coming with a color screen? Is there one coming with, a waterfall display? Like Vince's mind wanders sometimes.
What
we all know that.
happened was, Mike, sorry, let me jump in. Actually, Mike and Becky got a lot of, hey, you should do this 2 bands at least, 40 and 20, why only 20? But when you go to 2 bands, things get complicated, because you have to now divert all the, two LPFs, 2 second notch filters. You have to divert between antenna and the PA and this and that. Everything gets more complicated. And our motto on this is less complication. Everyone can build. So I think we will stick with monoband. Guys, I mean, I have to ask that to Mike and Becky. To be honest.
Yeah, 100% agree. Because if you just kind of take it in that direction and say, okay, let's say that it's got more toroids, more parts, a little bit more cost. Well, the QMX is a fantastic radio. And if you start going in that direction, then it kind of makes me think of why. But there's a pretty obvious why when it's, when you can offer a radio to somebody that is like the previous version of me, where maybe they wouldn't have taken that first step. So that being said, like Barb and I do, kind of bounce ideas off of each other on a regular basis, and everything from the would it make sense to put the USB PD chip in there, like Mark had suggested, or would it be worth playing with a different processor and trying to do a lot more software work to be able to get it even to this state? So, and things like that. It is probably worth mentioning also another common question that we get is, what about another band? And especially something like the 40-meter band where technicians have access to it in CW, or the 10-meter band, the technicians would have access to it with voice too. And so one thing worth noting is that even without us doing anything specifically, somebody could build it for another band by winding the toroids differently. You would have to swap out, I think it's 4 capacitors, Barb.
Four
that are surface mount, so it's more complex than the through hole. But it is possible, even if we were to never address that. But once the dust settles, it's probably likely that we would make another band version, but probably locked to one band for those reasons.
Yeah, I
think I saw this design on one of the other pictures we were looking at earlier, but I think I saw one of the radios that you showed a picture of, Barb, had a little pull swap out.
Yes, that's
filter.
the one. Yeah, I think that's the viable one to do it. Maybe in the next version, go for it. In this one, we were going to do it, but again, keeping things simple. Because if you do that, then you're introducing more LPFs, more toroids, and people might scare,
Like the KX1 with its swappable band modules.
Yes.
K1, not KX1. I knew I said that wrong. I think 40 meters, here's my vote. I think 40 meters would make a heckin' good choice.
Yeah, I think the next one will be 40, right, guys?
Yeah, very popular.
We may or may
CW
not
band.
we may or may not have a prototype of that version already, but that's pure speculation.
Pure speculation.
Yeah, never happened.
No.
Yeah, I might have been talking to somebody on our ICOM on 40 meters, and he asked about the Pebble in Morse code, and then I said, "Hold on one second," and I came back and I said, "I'm on a Pebble," and he's like,
"Wait, what?
I thought it was
You're
20
meters.
I thought it was 20 meters only."
Well, that's great. Set up a second sign-up list for that, and allow me to be, your first sign-up. You just got me as a sign-up on the 20-meter side, and I don't know what took me so long. So there you go.
You'll get an email shortly. I'll be right on that.
Yeah, right on. That's great.
Whatever you do not jump us ahead of the line.
Oh, no, I meant a welcome email that we got your sign up. That's what I meant.
Good. I'm like, do not jump us in front of the line. There are a lot of people who have been waiting longer than us.
Oh, you can put me to the front of the 40-meter line. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, there you go. Sure.
Speaking strictly for myself, Mark, don't talk to me, okay?
Sorry. Damn it, Smitty, shut
up. What haven't I asked you three that I should be about this project?
Firmware.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, firmware. Yes,
Okay.
I meant to write that down. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you, in just a little bit, I'll tell some exciting news about the firmware. But Barb will probably tell you that from the very beginning, even though I'm more of a software person than a hardware person, I should have used better judgment. And I was thinking it would be great if we can get the firmware mature enough and well tested enough to where anybody who wants to use the radio for any normal purposes would never have to worry about upgrading the firmware. That way, there'd just be less complexity. So the very first version that we released, I had introduced a CW receive bug. And so now we're fully embracing updating the firmware.
Updates, woohoo! They're easy and fun.
Well,
so
now
now
the I2C or the ICSP header.
Yes.
Okay.
So
They all ship with a 6-pin,
the 6-pin ISP header, and Barb gave us a design of a programmer that shows up as a virtual COM port, and Becky is showing it on the screen now. We call it the Barb programmer, and so the Barb programmer has the advantage of showing up like a COM port, which means that we have a totally web-based firmware updater. So you can plug this into a computer, and just with a web browser with no drivers and with no software, you don't even have to download the firmware file because it's baked into the tool, and you can just update the latest version of the firmware. So
that was his brain design was maybe I can come up with something web-based, because for me, I'm like, I don't know anything about firmware or software. Or, he said, well, you got to program the board to do the board to do the thing. And I'm like, what are you even talking about?
I just felt so bad about all those people that we didn't send the header to, who now needed to figure out how to get a programmer to be able to update theirs. And Barb had already sent me his programmer, and I knew that it showed up as a COM port, but I was just thinking, I wish it was easier. And then I was like, wait a minute. There's no tools that I know of that can do this over the web, but there's no reason it's not technically possible. And so super thrilled.
There are tools that do that for lots of other CPUs, but I've never seen one for AVR with an ICSP. So that you need to share that, because I'm sure the whole world will love getting access to that.
Wait a minute. What's AVR and ICSP, please?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, so AVR is the type of microcontroller that this is based on, and ISP just stands for serial programmer.
In-circuit serial programmer.
Yeah. ICSP is in-circuit serial programmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta say, web-based flashing is awesome.
Pretty rad
if you can do it, because like for the ESP32s that Lynn uses in the Linovation controllers, it finally got to the point now where you don't have to open it up and hold the programming button.
Actually, you can do over the air on that one.
USB-C in a web browser in Chrome, boom.
I've got a web uploader for my RP2040 based Talakey, so yeah, I'm familiar with Yep.
Oh, that's great.
And this is how we program them. For anybody who's listening, it's a 3D printed thing that grabs the board, and then it's got press fit pogo pins. So that we can program them. So we have a bunch of these stations so that we can program the firmware on a bunch of them in parallel now.
Nice.
How big of a batch do you do at a time?
So we were doing like ordering of boards and things like that.
Yeah.
Or do you mean 300 right now?
At a time?
At a time. And the programming was the longest pole in the tent. Well, that and we pre-loosen up the audio connector because it ships too tight. And so now that we're going to be able to program a bunch of them in parallel, the whole process will be a lot faster.
Yeah. We're thinking, we actually have a video that I think we're going to put out that just kind of shows the process of what we go through to go from we ordered it to in a box to your house, to just be like, yes, you can do it. This is what we're doing. This is our gift to the ham radio world. I sit in front of the TV with the kids and we watch a movie, and I'm kidding. I'm putting stuff in bags, and our little, I'll show you. It's kind of this is all the parts, all right there in a little kit bag. That's all you need right there.
And a little 1x2 bag.
Yeah, little 1x2 bag that has all the parts, which now include the programming header pins.
And before we leave that topic, I know there's some other great hardware devices for being able to practice Morse code and for learning Morse code and all those kind of things. But I was thinking, okay, this already has the Pebble itself already has a speaker. It has the ability to take key input, and it has a little display. It has all the things that you would need to be able to do this kind of thing. So I built a proof of concept of a game and some beginning of Morse code practice tools to be able to go on it. But the idea was, again, feeling bad about those people that now have to figure out how to update their Pebble HF. What if that energy spent learning how to update the firmware also means you could swap out the firmware for a game and also be able to use it for something else occasionally?
There's not enough space in the 32K to include it in the same firmware?
It's packed pretty tight. In fact,
come on, 32K. I mean, that's gobs of space.
Yeah, all you'd ever need.
He had to make the word bank for the Morse code words kind of small.
How much was it, Mike? I think 300 bytes left, right?
Yeah, for the vanilla, the main firmware.
Main firmware.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also it's relatively CPU constrained too. I was investigating a report of a bug and just going through and looking at the profiling thing that Guido put in there, which was brilliant anyways. And so there's some changes that I wanted to be able to make that I couldn't make because in one of the interrupt handlers there's just not enough.
But some of the changes he did make from the original firmware have a good bit to do with CW. Like he made the side tone volume and the receive volume separate so that you can keep your side tone volume the same, and then you can adjust your receive volume.
Yeah, that way when you turn the volume all the way up to listen to a really quiet station, and then you start keying, you don't blow your ears out.
Yeah.
And then also made the side tone sound a little bit more pleasant. A couple other changes too. I don't know why I can't think of them right now.
And those are good changes. People love to hate on square wave audio for really, really good reason too, because it's harsh to listen to. And I would have thought that side tone volume being separate from the receiver volume is a standard feature on most radios, but today I learned it's not. So thank you for doing that. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but it's fun to use. It's fun. For me, I'm not as much of a technical person, and I'm going into the menus and I'm learning how to adjust some things so that I can receive better. It does have a filter on it, so I can go in and change the filter and turn the AGC on or off. And it's just, I'm learning because it's a radio that's not perfect out of the box, and I have to learn the radio to make it better. And so I'm learning. And so I know that's kind of it's a win-win.
It is indeed. Well, I'm blown away. Mark?
Yeah, I'm still in the shut up and take my money mode. So, but my name's on the wait list, so I think I've done everything I can there.
And just shoot me the wait list link for the 40 meter and I'll sign up real quick.
We'll create that real quick.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else I should have asked that I didn't? I'm embarrassed that I forgot to write down the firmware question. So
you guys can't hear me, right?
Yeah, we can now. Yeah, go ahead, Barb.
Yeah, because my earbuds just gave up.
You missed all the things we were saying about you.
I know, we said all the good things about it.
No. I heard, but I couldn't talk. Yeah.
But I think the relationship that we've had working with Barb has just been super great. I mean, he's just innovative with ideas to make it better and
mutual.
go to the next step. And what can we do to make it better? After we get through all of this, like what might be able to make it better, but still keep it cheap. Like we kind of have that back and forth of keeping it in that window.
Yeah, Barb's been fantastic to work with. He's totally separate from being brilliant on the technology side. Like he's just always got such a positive attitude about everything, and like, yeah, we can do it. And
we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we will.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, at this point, we're going to take a pause. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how our field days went. So stick around. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. So this is our first recording just after field day. I was out. I braved the mosquitoes and the rain. Well, I'll talk about my experience a bit later on. But Vince got loopy. Boy, did he ever get loopy. Paul, what'd you do for field day? What'd you learn?
Well, our club generally, it's more of a social event. I mean, we do work. And we try to get, goals for points and that, but we're not like super focused on just getting contacts. So we had a good time. We set up early Saturday morning. In the past, we'd get there Friday night to like set up all the tents and everything. But since this year we had the trailer, we didn't have to set all that up. So we got there Saturday morning, got the generator running, got a couple of antennas put up. We had a pneumatic mast on the trailer for one antenna, and then I had a hamstick dipole on 40 for another one, and then the club just got a 7300 Mark II in addition to our Flex. We sold some stuff off at Xenia that paid for the 7300. So I got to unbox that and set it up while one of our other guys was working on the Flex. I was working on the 7300 and learning that radio. So I got to operate a new radio that I've never worked before. And cool. Overall, a good time was had. We worked into the night. We did the couple of things. Somebody copied the ARRL bulletin. We had a guy there with satellite setup, so we worked a couple of satellite passes, and we didn't have quite as many people show up this year as I remember in the past, but I mean it was a decent turnout and we all had a good time. So
very good. Any learnings did you take away from that?
I think the part of my problem with the 40 meter dipole was that it might not have been high enough. So I think quite possibly at the altitude it was at that most of the signal was going up.
NVIS, baby. Out. NVIS.
Yeah. But the weather was weird because it was very overcast and it looked like it was going to rain all day. But it never rained. But I think a lot of the overcast and stuff was also not helping with propagation. But we did learn a few things about because this is really one of the first times we've really set the trailer up to operate like it would in an emergency, because it was built partially for actual MCOM, because it's also got some commercial Motorola radios in there to communicate with other agencies, because a couple of our members are members of EMA. And so this is the first time we really set it up to sit and operate from it. So we learned a few things about setting up some things we'd like to do in the future, some things, because we're not quite done finishing it yet, but
it'll never be finished. Come on, Paul, admit it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fun.
Well, good. Awesome. Becky, Mike, what did you guys do?
Well, this was kind of I think last year for field day, they had something set up on Montesano and we kind of poked in a little bit. I'm really just 2.5, 3 years into amateur radio at all. So everything is kind of new to me. But this year, the Huntsville Amateur Radio Club, they were at one of the parks, probably about 20 minutes outside of town. And we thought, okay, well, we're just going to go and kind of see what it's all about. Not really ready to participate quite yet. We just didn't know too much of what to expect. And they had a really good setup. They had a GOTA station set up. They had an FT8 station. They had probably 3 towers just in different parts of the park that they set up. They had a satellite station. What else did they have? And they had a couple campers set up with generators, and they had people operating different bands, CW band here. They had a voice station, so they really had a pretty good setup.
Yep, we got to see them operate from two different operators doing CW, and we don't currently do contesting, and I know that I think it's not technically a contest, but it was compared to the relaxation of POTA, it gave us a little glimpse into at least the direction of contesting.
Yeah,
it's an emergency preparedness exercise. It's not a contest.
Yeah,
it's an emergency preparedness exercise.
There's points.
That they give out points and prepare points for different But it's not a contest.
Points means it's competitive, which means
points, multipliers,
pride's involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
But and it gave us an excuse to chat with the people at the local club, and I think that I regularly my brain gravitates towards the technology part of the hobby, and then I just keep learning over and over. It's about the people, not the technology. That's what, you might come for the technology, but it's the people is what makes it stick for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And did you take away any specific learnings from your time at the field day?
I think that, for me, the main one was the operating style of using a computer with CW, which there's so much about doing CW that I appreciate, just full manual, that it was good to gain an appreciation for that, like seeing some of the fast operators that were copying everything, and then when they didn't have the macro for what it is that they needed, they reach over and use their key and send, and just using, thinking about doing it for as long as they're doing it all day, and how it probably would be impossible to do it without the help of.
I know there's a lot of CW operators that are, oh, no contesting, that's not CW because you're just pushing keys. But I think if you were to do that for 30 minutes and do that, you'd probably be okay. But if you're going to sit for 2 hours and try to decode fast and send, and that's a lot. Your brain is going to be mush. And so I see the give and take in okay, this is just kind of a repeat. I'm sending the same thing every time. I'm just going to push a button so my brain can take a break for a second. I can kind of appreciate that with those operators.
I have that trouble with voice. Yeah, it's 100% agree.
Yeah, at a certain point, if you've been on a roll and you're really late and tired, your words don't always come out in the right order.
They do not.
Yeah, and if you have to send every character and every, you're going to get tired.
Yep.
Yeah, and make mistakes. It happens. Mark, let's throw it over to you. How was your field day? What'd you learn?
So it was mostly good, and I don't mean that in a negative way. There were definitely some lessons learned. So in general, I went with my local club, the Central Coast Amateur Radio Group, CCARG, and we're in a bit of a transition. The club was created several years ago by a guy named Dave, who is kind of trying to step down from running the club. But historically, he has had all the gear that we used for field day. And we're in the transition period of Dave's trying to get rid of this stuff out of his garage and trying to find new places to store all of this stuff, and who's in charge of making sure that this station is up and has all the things and blah, blah, blah. This year, we'll put it politely and say it was a bit of a transition. We've learned a lot, and I will be coming into the next meeting with a lot of feedback and ideas for improvement and whatnot. But all things considered, it worked. We got there, we got it set up, we had 2 stations, we operated all weekend, and it was a good time. All right? Did it go perfectly? No. Does any field day ever go perfectly?
No.
But we had a good time. Right? So it was a success as far as I'm concerned. I did learn that there are 2 different types of easy ups. One that have very thin, white, translucent sheeting, and one that has thick, white on the outside, black on the inside, opaque sheeting. And when you are in the sun all day, operating a radio with a very dim display, and you are immersed in what is effectively a photography light box, you get a headache very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I was in there operating with my sunglasses on and my hat pulled down low over my face, just so that I wasn't getting blinded from all of the white surfaces around me. Then having to like cover, shade the display of the, mid 90s vintage Kenwood, what is it, a 450, I think is what we were running, a TS 450 on that station. Great little radio, VFD, or vacuum fluorescent display with very little brightness on it.
Wow.
So that was a real challenge. But I did get my contesting console deployed on that station, and we have some old crusty members of our club who are like, what is this audio crap on the, who said that it was okay to set this up? And then they tried it and they're like, this is the best thing ever. So I am very happy that I was able to win over those particular operators with my product. So that was cool. But yeah, Whiskey 6, Whiskey Juliet calling CQ Field Day to Alpha Santa Barbara. QRT. It was good.
I have to say that the longer you work POTA, if you're reasonably active with it, the easier field day setup and operations become. Because
100%.
There's very much an extension of those skills you've learned setting up your own station out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And there's things it's like, oh, I know how to do that. And if something does, it's like, oh, I've done that before.
Yeah.
And so I have noticed since I've been doing POTA for 3 years now that field day is like, it's just pretty much setting up for an activation.
POTA plus.
Yeah, big POTA.
Yeah.
I would agree with you, Paul, to a point, but it depends. If it's a group of 3-4 friends getting together, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
When you get a club of a size where you've got 3, 4, 5 stations, it changes the whole game, because now you're talking about filters and you're talking about antennas end to end, and you're talking about just the logistics of feeding everybody. So to me, field day in the past has been a fairly big effort of logistics and recruiting and scheduling and all that other good stuff, which has its merit. Some days I just think I want to go out and play field day by myself. One of these years I'm going to do that, because like I said, it's great fun to get a crew. And the other thing I'll point out is bringing contesters with your crew is a hell of an experience, because then they can crank. And Vince has seen this firsthand with my old crew here in Oakville, where we would have CW operators. Becky, you were saying, like, how long can you go with continuous operation? And we had a couple of CW operators that preferred to be on the night shift for like 6 or more hour blocks.
Wow.
On that.
Whoa,
because this is what they do.
What, the contest is only 24 hours?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a certain kind of brain that can just listen and head decode high-speed CW in pileups for 6 hours at a time and not just melt.
And now you're talking about some of the top contesters in the country, and bless them for coming out and working field day too, because to them, this is kind of amateur hour, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely,
compared to solid contesting. But that said, they don't get to keep their feet in the grass when they're contesting on regular contests. So, there's that. But like I said, the major hurdle in the past has been just being able to move enough people to enough locations, or to a reasonable location set up, and antenna management and everything else. But I used to love it, but I hauled a lot of stuff out, and I organized a lot of people.
Did you happen to get out this year by chance?
Probably from center ice.
For people, for people on that aren't got the video, you don't see me hanging my head right now in shame, knowing that I basically powered on my station, turned the dial, and then looked at a couple of things where people were just cursing the bad reception. I heard it was not great this year in terms of propagation, but that could have been a local Ontario thing. I have no idea.
Yeah, okay, this is something I'll point out that I learned this year. You wanted to know about things to learn this year. I have learned that the best bands are the ones that are not normally the good band. Right, so normally we say 20 meters during the day and 40 meters at night, right? Like 40 and 8, lower end of the bands at night and the upper end of the bands during the day. If you're on 20 meters in the day, the channels are a cheek by jowl, right? Like every 1 kilohertz or half a kilohertz is a station you can hear, and there is no place for you to stake a claim and call CQ. But if you go to 40 meters in the middle of the day, like there's enough activity there for you to stay busy, but enough space that you can set up camp and start calling CQ. And so that is something that I learned this year. That I'm like, just the 20 meters in the middle of the day is an absolute mush pot of unusability, and so go off to one of the other lesser common bands, and you can sit there and call CQ for an hour or two and get everybody that's tuning around that band at that time.
100% agree, Mark.
I also learned that between the 100 watts coming out of the 7300 and the 500 coming out of the Aurora, people hear you more when you hit push to talk on the Aurora.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
6 dB, got a dB.
I was going to say, I think that's a great tip for new people wanting to activate, because people are scared of a pileup and they're scared of everybody just going so fast. And pick a band that is not quite as popular, go QRP. You're not going to get every single station out there that can hear you. You're going to get the ones that probably are loud enough and will take their time enough to put you in the logs. And I think that's a good place for some people to start that are scared of those busy bands.
No, are you talking just normal operation, or do you mean on field day?
Oh, either. Like if you're going out for a POTA and it's your first POTA activation, don't pick 20 meters in the middle of the day and start calling CQ POTA. You're going to be overwhelmed. But if you, crank down the power a little bit and pick a different band, same kind of principle.
Yeah.
I would also
like
POTA
to
and whatnot, you can go off onto 12 and 17 and whatnot, the WARC bands. You can't do that in a contest, but you can if you're just calling CQ POTA.
But field day isn't a contest.
But I
forgot.
Contest like
you're not allowed to do field day on the WARC bands.
Yeah. I would also like to suggest on a little side thing there, you mentioned about doing your first POTA. Set up and do some hunting for a while.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Call other people who are activating, get a feel for how it works, get a feel for the exchange, get a feel for the flow of things before if you could, but if you go right out there, sit down and start calling CQ, you might freak out.
Yeah.
So just listen to other people work their activations for a while, get a feel for it before you do. That's,
Yeah, we listened to a couple people activating, when we were very new to doing CW POTA, and basically we could hear most of their stations, and we just made a log as if we were the ones activating as a way of practicing.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Oh, I like that.
That's absolutely brilliant. Barb, what about you? Were you out at field day this year?
No, actually, all of my operations are field day because I don't have an antenna at home. So I'm living in an apartment complex, and I made an attempt. I get a nasty letter from the management. Hey, you have to take it down. So,
Well, yeah,
window.
I mean, yeah, the apartment people tend to get really cranky when you stack a 60-foot tower out your window and leaning on the balcony railing, right?
that was actually, yeah, that was actually one of those body poles, you know, you just stick it out. And they said, hey, this is not good. It's just, you're just compromising the view of the apartments building, etc. So I said, okay. So I'm generally operating from the near park and from my car with the hamstick.
Yeah.
So every day is a field day.
Every day's a field day. Well, that's awesome. And I share that too. At my last home, at the townhouse, the RG6 cabling for the shared cable TV service that we all had back in the day was leaky as heck. And so I got very accustomed to operating in the field very early as a ham. So wind the tape forward now, 24 years. And I still love operating outdoor and as far away as I can get from civilization, typically, so I can go off and enjoy nature.
I like the park a lot. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's awesome.
So as a field day, as I said, I tested the, pick a balloon transmitter. That's it. That was my field day.
Well, that's pretty good. My own field day this year, for listeners of the podcast, you heard me say I'm going to get as high up as I can in altitude off of a driving road and as deep into backcountry as I can. And those plans went out the window because over field day weekend, this area received 4 inches of rain in about a 2-day period. And so some people will be familiar with the one park that I work a lot out of called Kananaskis Country. Now, that's a huge park, and there's parks within that park and trail systems and what have you, and they're all unique POTA entities. Many of the roads today, 4 days later, are still closed. There have been landslides. There were probably about 1,000 people that were trapped when roads are closed, so they had to work to open the roads up.
Wow.
A similar thing happened field day weekend in 2013 with the southern Alberta flooding. And field day became a real disaster. I submitted a report for field day in 2013 to the ARRL that says we were operating from an EOC and we couldn't count the number of QSOs we handled. It's because for the first 72 hours we were handling emergency traffic. For this field day, I wanted it to be simple. I really did want to be a backcountry, but the thought of getting wet and operating on my own means I'm not going to put up an easy up because that's not easy as a solo guy. So I landed up looking for picnic shelters that I might be able to book. And there weren't any that I could book on 2 days' notice until I looked around in my own town. And so what I decided to do was get loopy and take my Chameleon F-loop out and operate from inside a shelter. So this sounds pretty good until you consider the shelter is made of metal. Oh. And
Whoops.
the bugs were really bad. So I invested into a device from a brand called Thermacell that keeps bugs away. And I put my bug shirt on and my bug hat on and all the rest, right? Because of all of the rain we've had lately. And actually, I live streamed my first hour of field day, and it felt to me like a monologue because I was the only one there, just kind of talking people through what I was doing. But with my little DJI Osmo camera, it would follow me around as I gave you a tour of my setup. So that was good. I didn't have to hire a camera person, which is good because my channel doesn't have that kind of revenue associated to it. But it was a lot of fun. After I came off the live stream, I invited those who wanted to come out and hang with me on a Zoom. And we just chatted. And I didn't operate all that much. I made 3.5 contacts, 3 of them on 20, and I'm not sure I finished one on 15. It was a heckin' big challenge. And so to paint the picture a little bit, the shelter I was in was 10 by 20. The walls were 10 feet high, and then there's a peaked metal roof, and the peak was about 14 feet. So the gable ends of the roofs were open. And it was oriented with the openings north and south, the peaked openings north and south. So my mag loop was on a nearby picnic table under the roof, and I'm trying to make contacts. I'm heard on one of the RBNs. That's it. Now, I'm working other guys, but it's a lot of work. And at 5 watts, I'm not expecting it to be easy. I've done QRP field days before, and they can be a lot of fun and very satisfying when you break a pile up on 5 watt CW or 10 watt on phone. And especially when it's down in South Texas or in Alaska or whatever, you know, destinations that are thousands of kilometers from me. But one of the pieces we talked about afterwards on the Zoom call, and Glenn used this term. He says, well, Vince, you got to consider that your loop is under a cage, a Faraday cage, effectively, even though the sides are all open. You're still sheltered by that roof on top. Put the antenna outside. I tried that. It didn't improve much. But he used an interesting term. He says, think about the wavelength of your band, 20 meters, so 66-foot wavelength or 20-meter wavelength. Now think about the size of the openings or the aperture of that building and how well you're going to be propagating. And that was something I had never stopped to consider. So in my mind, when I, you know, concocted Plan C for field day, I'm like, oh, I'll just find a shelter somewhere. And I was picturing a wooden shelter. I didn't kind of count on it being made of steel, and I verified that with a magnet while I was there because, you know, that's how I roll, carry a magnet to hold up cables and stuff. Still, I made some contacts, but it sure as heck was not easy. I didn't expect it to be easy. It was harder than I thought it would be. And about 2.5 hours later, I could see rain coming in. It was blowing sideways, and I hastily packed up, and that was my whole field day. I'm okay with that because I like experimenting for field day. In years past, I've tried to load a piece of wetted string. Mm-hmm. I repeated that exercise a year later by drizzling some salt water along the string and feeding it with it like a water feeder at the high end. I got nowhere both times, so I proved what did not work, but the KX2 or the KX3 thinks it loaded it, so that was a win. And I kind of like this solo effort, you know, to Paul's point. The more often you get out and do a SOTA or a POTA or any sort of field work, you get much quicker at setting up your gear in the field. Yeah. You know, as I've watched Thomas and Charlie NJ7V, Red Summit RF, and many others do their setup for their activation, they're just like a machine. They're up in 5 minutes. With, you know, impossible 6-element beams and 50-foot towers. I'm exaggerating that part a bit, but it does make it for muscle memory. So there's something to be said for that. So I'm really glad, you know, Barb, Becky, Mike, you're able to join us this evening and come and talk about the Pebble project. I'm super excited for where it's going and where it's going for you guys. And thank you so much for coming along with us this evening. Any final words from the three of you?
Oh, we thank you guys for inviting us for this nice podcast.
It was an honor to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to just sit down and talk about the process. And, you know, it is from the history to getting it out in the mailbox. There's a lot behind the scenes, and it's, you know, it's nice to share and talk about.
Well, Becky, we look forward to that video showing all of that stuff. I think that's a great video idea and not one I can pull off because I'm not you guys. So we're looking forward to seeing it when it comes out. Okay, well, then we'll wrap up. So then we'll say our 73 from all of us at the Ham Radio Workbench. 73.
73.
Humans.
Mark?
I doubled with you. Be good humans.